I made a huge mistake when I first started doing lab work, and I don't want you to make the same one. When I joined my first lab in that building back there, the grad student just told me to go grab a lab coat out of the box. So that's what I did, and I wore that lab coat for 5 years, and I never knew I had better options. It fit me like a barrel. The sleeves were too short when I reached into the fume hood. The plastic buttons felt like a liability in a fire, and the pockets were all in these awkward positions. And the worst thing was, I just didn't even want to wear it. The crazy thing is, I never even looked for a better one. And I'm telling you this because I don't want you to make the same mistake. But the problem is that most scientists' first lab coats are those cheap $20 ones from either Amazon or the university bookstore. They're usually unisex, and they aren't even very safe because they have those big plastic buttons that will melt if you catch on fire. Or they have those really huge sleeves that get in the way of everything. So my wife works in healthcare, and I found some awesome lab coats from brands like Metalita and Figs. They fit like a tailored suit when I tried them on, but when I looked closer, I realized that those are actually designed for doctors, not for scientists. The plastic buttons, the sleeves, and the materials are all good for clinics and medical work, but they're a safety hazard in a research lab. Not to mention, they usually cost something like $100 to $200. So a few years ago, I decided I was going to try to make a lab coat for scientists that they actually want to wear, but I wasn't exactly sure how. So I got 1,000 scientists and engineers to respond to a 10-minute survey telling me what they hated about their lab coats and their wish list for the perfect lab coat. And I called it the Lab Coat Project. And then I spent weeks analyzing this data. This was before AI, so this was really hard. I published the data into an article which actually made international news. I was invited onto podcasts like BBC Science and CBC's Perks and Quirks to talk about the problems that scientists were facing that came up in this survey. The biggest thing that stunned me was that over 92% said they also had a problem with their lab coats. So I knew I had to do something with this data. I bought and tested something like 20 popular lab coats to feel the problems myself. I actually found a local sewist, thanks Marta, to help prototype some new shapes, some pockets, loops, and we even invented a hidden adjustable belt. And I showed this whole process on Instagram so I could have people vote to help make some of the more difficult decisions. The consensus was that it had to be designed to meet all of the requirements of most general chemistry lab classes and organic chemistry. So that meant 100% cotton, metal snaps, soft tapered knit cuffs, an option for a high collar, and tons of pockets, and it had to be under $100. I found a manufacturing partner and I went through 7 iterations on just the cotton weave until we actually found one that was the perfect balance of being soft and breathable, but also rugged and actually even a little hydrophobic. I made sure the cotton wasn't from forced labor by only sourcing cotton grown in the USA. We went through 9 different design prototypes, adjusting the sizing, the pocket positions, snaps, cuff suppliers, reinforced stitching, and details on every inch of this thing. When I showed the world the prototype, 30 beta testers of all sizes and genders volunteered to test out the first samples for over a month in their own labs. Let me tell you, I was so worried that the beta testers wouldn't like them, but then I got quotes like this. I feel like I have a silhouette in the lab coat. It makes me feel feminine in a way that is empowering, but it doesn't make me feel self-conscious. I feel confident and serious and like I will be taken more seriously by others. I found myself standing up a little straighter when I wore it. Another quote said, I look so damn good in this coat. I actually take photos of myself in it and I hate taking selfies. Someone else said, this coat makes me feel like I'm finally wearing something designed for me as a scientist. Someone said, the shape is amazing. I've received so many compliments from my colleagues and they are all eager to get their own. So after hearing that feedback, I knew I had to go to production. Our fans voted on famous scientists to name the styles. We launched a crowdfunding campaign and sold 800 on the pre-order to fund the first manufacturing run of 2,000 lab coats. 1,000 in a men's fit we named after Louis Pasteur, and 1,000 in the women's cut we named after Marie Curie. Then more than 2 years after the idea first hit me, we shipped it. And then we sold out in 3 months. What happened was when one person in a lab got one, we get an order a few weeks later from the whole lab. So then we waited 6 more months for another 2,000 to finish. And then we sold out again, thanks to big orders from some big national labs we've heard of, some giant chemical companies, and even some university chemistry departments that outfitted their undergrads. So in the 3rd batch, we decided to do 4,000 lab coats, and that let us add colors. So we asked, and our customers wanted black, so we did a limited run, and we call it Dark Matter. Is this the perfect lab coat? Some customers said it was, but actually I disagree. We can always make it better, and we will keep improving it with your feedback every single year. But I do think these lab coats will be significant improvements over what you're wearing right now. And I know budgets are tight right now with all the funding cuts, but these lab coats won't do any good if they're too expensive for the average grad student. So I believe in doing whatever I can to get the best possible lab coat out there at the lowest possible cost. So if you want to check out our stock status or current prices or get on the wait list for when we're back in stock, tap the link below. Life is too short to wear a terrible lab coat, and wearing the wrong one could actually make it shorter. My message is this: if you don't love your lab coat, there are better options out there. The safest lab coat is the one you actually wear. Try the Lab Coat Project and feel the difference for yourself. If it's not the best lab coat you've ever worn, we will give you a full refund. And if you're watching this and you already have one of our lab coats, comment below and let everybody else know what you think about it to help them make their own decision.